let's start with the big picture. And I'd like to just, throw the first question to Jonathan. Jonathan, you have worked on innovation and technology to solve global challenges extensively during your career. How do you think innovation and technology can help us to recover from the pandemic? What key elements do we need to consider? And what are the risks associated to technology and innovation that we may want to think about before it is too late? If you could share your thoughts, please.
Thank you, TJ. And I wish, like Veronica, I could claim to be the next generation, but I think that's passed me by now. So there we go. I can't complain. Just to let you know kind of the position I come from, essentially what I do is I advise governments on technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship policy, just so you can see where my reflections come from. And I mean, we all know this. What's certain is that the pandemic has accelerated digital transformation. And it's really highlighted the importance of technology, in particular digital technology. I think from a couple of perspectives. I mean, you look at it from a social perspective. We've seen many countries in Asia, governments using digital payments to get social protection to their people most in need. We've seen governments using e-health, online education. So from a social perspective, absolutely critical that we need digital technology. And I think from an economic perspective as well, I mean, I'm sure there's many startups on the call today. Businesses that have been digitally enabled, i.e. on e-commerce, having digital finance, have fared much, much better than those that haven't. So kind of going forward, I think certainly technology innovation can help. In terms of risks, there are many risks around digital technology, but let me just highlight one. And for me, it's leaving people behind, and it's inclusivity. Everyone on this call today, on this session today, has access to the internet. Otherwise, we wouldn't be on this call. Now, imagine if you didn't during the pandemic. Your kids couldn't go to school, no access to e-health systems. How do you go about running your business? That's how important it is. And I think in a post-pandemic world, for me, the key elements for recovery would be, firstly, I think governments need to put inclusivity at the heart of digital technology policies. So to give an example, we worked in Mongolia on Mongolia's digital strategy. Most people live in the capital, but we said, look, inclusion needs to be at the heart. You need to come up with a solution to get to the nomadic communities. Otherwise, you'll start leaving people behind. So that's just an example. And certainly, I think there are two other things that I would highlight. I think one is access and affordability. People need to be able to afford the internet and have access to mobile devices, etc. So I think certainly for the private sector and governments to think about, how do you drive inclusion through access and affordability to digital technology in particular? And I think the third point I would raise is the importance of digital skills. I mentioned how important it is for government officials to have an appreciation of digital technology and have the digital skills to be able to provide e-health solutions, online education, social protection system payments to the most vulnerable. We need to really focus on that. But equally, on the business side of things, as I mentioned, businesses have fared better when they've been digital during the pandemic. I think certainly how we build digital skills within startups, within new businesses that are emerging, will be absolutely critical. And things like e-commerce, digital finance are getting more and more important, especially in a contactless world at the moment, where people are sometimes afraid to pass paper money to each other. I think these are some of the really big policy agendas that we're looking to support governments on, and ones that I think will be critical if we are indeed to build back better from this pandemic and really make sure technology kind of works for society, works for the economy, and doesn't leave anyone behind. I'll stop there, TJ.
Thank you very much for your thoughts. Definitely something for all of us to think about. You're working on these issues at UNESCAP. Perhaps if you could share with us, some of the key initiatives that you are developing to help countries in the APEC region with innovative solutions for the post-pandemic era.
Sure. I mean, I spoke a lot about technology earlier, but let me now focus on entrepreneurship as well. I mean, this is my personal view, not the UN's, although I think they would share it, so I'll be okay. I think the biggest innovation for me is if the economy could work better for society. It really does. I think you look at the region, business has been a source of economic dynamism, innovation, technology in this region. It's put money in people's pockets. It's created jobs. Arguably, it's created quite a lot of social inequality. Arguably, there's been huge environmental degradation. And certainly, I think that's the biggest innovation for me: economy working better for society and environment. Now touching on the topic of how we support governments, I work a lot with governments on social entrepreneurship policy, and I truly, in my heart, believe in this for a number of reasons. Take a look at the pandemic. I thought it was really interesting that there seemed to be this trade-off between economic objective and social objective. So you lock down, there's a social impact. People stay healthy, hurts the economy. You open up, economy gets better, people get ill. And I was kind of thinking about this, and I thought, actually, social entrepreneurship actually comes together. It's not a conflict. Social entrepreneurs are looking to solve social and environmental challenges using business means. There is an economic and social dimension there. And for me, at the heart of building back better from the pandemic is that we need an economy that works better for society, as I mentioned. And for me, social entrepreneurs are absolutely at the center of that conversation. And I'll add to that as well. And Veronica's a case in point. You mentioned that there's a next generation of entrepreneurs. I mean, I went to business school. You know what I learned? They taught me how to make money. They taught me how to start a business. But they didn't talk to me about social impact and social challenges. But I think now we're seeing the next generation of entrepreneurs who actually want to make money, absolutely fine, but actually want to do good in the world as well. And certainly we're seeing that, governments are seeing that, and governments are putting in place the right policies. So to give a few examples, I'm based in Thailand, in Bangkok. I work with the government on the Social Enterprise Act. Now this is an act that if you pass the criteria that you're a social enterprise, you get specific tax incentives, specific access to training and etc., and different provisions and support than you would as a normal business. You look at Indonesia, where I work with the government on integrating social entrepreneurship as a key pillar within their national development plan. You look in Pakistan, where there really is a huge wave of young entrepreneurs looking to do well and do good, where we helped to establish a Center for Social Entrepreneurship in Pakistan. One of the first governments in the world, I think, to actually have a social entrepreneurship focus, because they saw it too. They said, okay, we believe that business can do good for the economy, but it also can do good for society, and we need to support that. So for me, that really is an important point. And I think social entrepreneurship as a concept, we've seen growing in Asia, and we'd like more countries to take it on board as well and deliver those policies so that it can grow beyond national boundaries. I'd love to see social entrepreneurs providing clean water to poor communities in Pakistan, doing the same thing in Laos, or vice versa. I mean, this is my dream in my mind, which I don't think is too far from reality, because I do have a lot of faith in that the entrepreneurs that are in the world today are very different from my time. You know what I mean? That they've got a different mindset, a different social conscience, and this is what governments need to back and support. I'll stop there.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Great sharing.